What up, team? So just a bit of a quick stream today, and we'll play it by ear. But I've got a few news stories for you. So just let me get some sounds cooking for y'all. There we go, and get my shit sorted over here. So the first story I would like to touch on is this one over here. Jermaine Franklin. His promoter, Dimitri Salita of Salita Promotions, is pretty much offering for him to go and spar Joshua in preparation for the Andy Ruiz camp. So we'll just have a bit of a listen to some of the stuff in the article here, then I'll have a little bit of a discussion about it.
Franklin willing to spar with Joshua in camp, says Salita. Dmitry Salita, the promoter for undefeated heavyweight prospect Jermaine Franklin, says his boxer is more than willing to be used as a sparring partner for former unified champion Anthony Joshua, who is currently preparing for his rematch with Andy Ruiz on December 7th in Saudi Arabia. Salita believes that his boxer has similarities with Ruiz, although Franklin has not been offered an invite yet to join Joshua's camp. He was offered a sparring position to assist Joshua for last year's defense against Alexander Povetkin, but there was a scheduling issue that preventing Franklin from traveling over to the UK. Jermaine Franklin is the best American heavyweight contender, and although he is only 25 years old, he has one of the most impressive opponent resumes of the top prospects, Salita told Sky Sports.
That's enough. I'm not going to listen to any more of that. So, Dimitri Salita is going hard on the promotion. He says he's pretty much got a stellar resume. Who? Rydell Booker, Jerry Forrest, and Pavel Sauer are his three last fights. He's gone the distance with all of them. And he's supposed to be the best American prospect? Dang, that's just not right, man. I'm sure there's better American prospects out there. I think Damani Rock's probably better than him. Cassius Chaney could even be better than him. But there was some other stuff in this article that I missed. Hold on. Here it is. This part here. Some more bullshit here from Salita. So listen to this part.
He has some similarities to Ruiz with a long and successful amateur career, which has influence on his style, as they are both athletic with fast hands. Jermaine was offered to train with Joshua for the Povetkin fight.
So he says there's some similarities there with the long and successful professional career, amateur career. Well, Andrew Ruiz's amateur career wasn't that successful. He didn't qualify for the Olympics. He was beaten by Oscar Rivas at the qualifiers, the Pan Am Games. So it wasn't really that successful. Yes, Jermaine Franklin, I believe he won Golden Gloves in America once or twice. But the similarities, I don't think there's any, besides them being a similar height. Ruiz is registered at 6'2". He's actually probably about 6'1", 6'1.5". I believe Jermaine Franklin's also 6'2". So that's about where the similarities stop. Jermaine Franklin doesn't have anywhere near as fast a hands as Andy Ruiz. It probably weighs just a little bit less. The footwork, maybe the footwork is about similar. But I don't think Jermaine Franklin is a good fit to try and replicate what Andy Ruiz can do. So Demetrius Salita is full of it. And I saw a comment on this actually, a guy who is actually from Michigan. Here it is. Lied. Point blank. I'm from Michigan. That is where Jermaine Franklin is from, by the way, I think. And he may not even be the best in the area. Meaning Midwest. So there you go. A guy who's from Michigan pointing out that he may not even be the best in the area, let alone America. So I'm sure Jermaine Franklin could definitely do with the experience of sparring Anthony Joshua. From what I've seen in his last three fights, he doesn't seem to be learning much. He doesn't have good punch selection. He smothers his own work at times. When he's out boxing from the outside, he doesn't look too bad, but particularly in his last fight against Pavel Sauer, he was trying too hard to get a knockout. And it's an old saying, if you're trying for the knockout, it's probably not going to come. But if you box, do what you're supposed to do, the knockout may just come. If you go looking for it, it's harder to get. He knocked Pavel Sauer down twice, but couldn't finish him. I think it was in the 2nd and the 10th. But guys like Pavel Sauer, he should be getting him out of there before 6. When he knocked him down in the 2nd round, he should have been able to finish him off. But maybe it's something to do with his age. Maybe he's a little bit immature in the ring, gets a bit too excited. I don't know, but there's something not quite right there. And he would definitely benefit from sparring with Anthony Joshua, but Anthony Joshua, I don't think would benefit from sparring Jermaine Franklin. So that's that. The next story is this one here. Joe Joyce and Marco Huck have had their purse bid. Marco Huck's promotional company, GmbH, something to do with German something, boxing something, has won the purse bid today. They won the purse bid with a bid of, $480,000, I believe. Yeah, 480 grand. Queensbury Promotions, Frank Warren put in a bid of $358,000. So this is mandated for the vacant EBU title. So we'll see what happens there. I'm not sure at this stage if Joe Joyce's WBA Gold title will be on the line. I'm assuming it will be though. But for me, this should be a fairly straightforward win for Joe Joyce. Marco Huck's not big enough, doesn't hit hard enough, and is well past his best, in my opinion. I mean, in my opinion, Joe Joyce isn't a world beater or anything like that, but Marco Huck at heavyweight, when he steps up to world level, he's going to lose most every time, particularly at this stage of his career. So it is what it is, but it's a heavyweight dust-up. I was hoping to see maybe Joe Joyce take on somebody like a Daniel Dubois. I did see an article the other day that suggests Joe Joyce does want to fight with Daniel Dubois. In fact, if I Google it right now, it will come up. And we click on news. Daniel Dubois on Joe Joyce. That ain't the one. Exclusive. Maybe I need to Google it in other terms. Yeah, I'll Google it a different way. I'm sure I saw it yesterday. Joe Joyce wants Daniel Dubois. Joe Joyce aligns himself with Frank Warren for world title. Well, the story's out there somewhere. I can't find it right now, so I'll just leave that alone. Concentrate on what I'm supposed to be looking at. Alright, so the third story I wanted to touch on today was this one here. Deontay Wilder, Andy Ruiz is a bigger fight for me than Anthony Joshua. As of right now, I'm afraid it probably isn't. But we'll have a listen to some of what Deontay has to say to explain the statement. So check it out.
Deontay Wilder. Andy Ruiz is bigger fight for me than Joshua. WBC heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder will keep a very close eye on the December rematch between Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua. Ruiz captured the IBF IBO, WBA, WBO world titles back on June 1 when he dropped Joshua 4 times to secure a 7th round stoppage. The rematch will take place on December 7 in Saudi Arabia. Between the two potential options, Wilder views Ruiz as the much bigger fighter for a variety of reasons. The Ruiz Jr. fight is even huger, Wilder said to Sky Sports. Whoever wins is going to be a big fight. But the biggest fight is me and Ruiz Jr. because of his Hispanic background, and he's American, so he has both sides. Becoming the first Mexican heavyweight champion is huge because they've never had that before. A lot of people who weren't alert on him, they are now. It's bigger than what Joshua could ever be. And Wilder is backing Ruiz to win a second time. From the moment the rematch was announced, Wilder was confident Ruiz would come away with another win.
I'll just pause that there for a minute. So he's banking on Ruiz's Mexican following to be bigger than Anthony Joshua could ever be. Okay? Interesting. Let's just have a look here. I know the population of the UK is around 65 million, right? I wouldn't have a clue what the population of Mexico is, but here we go. 129 million. Wow, that's a lot of people. That was in 2017, so it's probably more than that. 130 million plus now. So, I could agree with Wilder if a few things happen, right? If Andrew Ruiz does beat Anthony Joshua the second time round, it is a big fight, and it's possibly bigger than Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. But over the last 4 years, with all this fluff-assing around from both teams, being Wilder and PBC and Joshua and Hearn, blaming each other for the fight not happening, taking us fans as sucker fools while they build the fight, banking on guys winning and winning and winning, they made that fight huge. But it never happened because they fucked around too much. Anthony Joshua lost his belts, and you could see from the comments of Deontay Wilder directly after June 1st how pissed off he was. For me, I thought it was always a matter of the two opposing promotional teams trying to build the fight as much as they can, like Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather. But they fucked it up. They waited too long, someone lost their belts. Now, Yes, Andy Ruiz is the first Mexican heavyweight champion of the world, and he is extremely popular in Mexico at present because of the Big Shock, because he was the underdog. Now, if he wins the next fight, which is not a gimme, no freaking way, then it's possible it could be a bigger fight. But don't forget that Anthony Joshua has got the biggest earning power in the heavyweight division and has done for the last few years. So he has fans globally, not just in his home country. Andy Ruiz has fans globally, but most of his fans come from Mexico. There are a few in America, for sure. He was actually born in America. He just has Mexican heritage. He lives in California. So people kind of knew who he was before the Anthony Joshua fight. Everybody knows who he is now. He's the fat guy who beat the odds. And everybody loves an underdog. But if he beats Anthony Joshua a second time over, the underdog status is going to kind of disappear somewhat. And like the rest of this article says, the fight would definitely be easier to make, because they're both PBC fighters, Ruiz and Wilder. But at this stage, I don't believe Ruiz versus Wilder is a bigger fight than Joshua versus Wilder. And Wilder saying, what did he say? Something along the lines of, with the Mexican fan base, Ruiz is bigger than Joshua could ever be. If Anthony Joshua happens to get revenge on on Andy Ruiz, that's a legacy-defining moment. A champion losing his belts, coming back, getting revenge. In that case, his profile will skyrocket again. So, I'm not buying this. Andy Ruiz is bigger now than Anthony Joshua could ever be. For me, that's a total load of horse shit. So, we'll just have a listen to the rest of this article and see what else it has to say. Any other points I can touch
I am backing
on?
Ruiz to win again. Ruiz Jr. has all the motivation and confidence that he needs from the first fight. I don't think he is one to dwell after obtaining a little taste of success. This is just the beginning, especially when you become a champion. While
I definitely agree with the motivation and the hunger. But don't forget, Anthony Joshua will also have hunger to try and get his belts back, to try and get his career back on track, to try and avenge a loss like a true champion does. So December 7th, it's going to determine a lot of what happens with a lot of the heavyweight division, not just Deontay Wilder. Let's continue.
Wilder said, "You've got to stay hungry." My man Marvin Hagler said you can't get out of bed in silk pajamas, but with the win, it was a big boost, and he has the Mexican people around him. The fight between Wilder and Ruiz would be much easier to make since both men are advised by Al Heyman and compete under the Premier Boxing Champions banner. Tags: Deontay Wilder.
So there you have it. That's the end of that story. So, interesting. And I don't think there was a hell of a lot else in the news for today, so that's pretty much it for now. But let me whiz over to the chat, have a look, and let me know, guys. Do I need to open up the lines for other people to jump in today, or shall I just close it down now? I know Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio has a stream going. Might whiz over there if nobody's keen to jump on here and have a chat. A big shout out to Mala2243, good to have you in, brother. Mr. Boxing Today too, always a pleasure having you around. If I did open up the lines, it would be awesome if you two wanted to jump on. So let us know. Otherwise, I'm going to shut this down and go jump over onto Rafi's stream and see what that dude's up to. Andy's the new Mike Tyson. I don't know about going quite that far, but I think many fans have realised that he's not just a fat little Snickers eating kid, you know. The dude's always had hands. He hasn't had the right promotional company behind him and hasn't had the opportunities. He got one opportunity when he was with Top Rank and had a very competitive fight against Joseph Parker. I mean, he thought he was robbed. But, you know, realistically, it was a close fight. So, for me, I don't think you can call a close fight a robbery. Okay, Marla says he'll jump on, so just give me a sec here, I'll get this all set up. Sorry guys, wasn't meant to play that intro again. I'll just go and open up a Hangout and get this show on the road here. But just give me a sec here. Just Hangout open, and I can drop the link for anybody who might want to jump on and come and have a yarn, talk some boxing, bada bing, bada boom, all fun and games. So, Hangout's open. Copy the link here. And here we go. The link for the Hangout is in the chat. If anybody wants to jump on, feel free to hit that link and you should jump straight on in. I'm interested to get some opinion from Marla about what he thought of the Usyk fight, because he hasn't watched it until I think it was yesterday or the day before.
You alright, Johnny?
Hey Marla, how are you doing, man?
Good, mate. Good, man.
That's the one. So what do you reckon of the news today that we've just been speaking about? Is there anything that you'd want to add to any of those stories and your thoughts?
No, sort of. Oh, the Joe Joyce fight, a bit disappointing. I would have liked to have seen him step up and fight someone better.
Yeah.
You know,
it's mandated by the EBU, so
the EBU.
Yeah, European Boxing Union.
Okay.
Yeah. That title that Ajit Kabir vacated. So I'm assuming that WBA gold title was going to be on the line as well, but there was nothing in the article about that. So.
Okay. Yeah, no, that was disappointing. I'd like to see him step up, you know, and fight some better people.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, pretty disappointing.
Yeah, Marco Huck at heavyweight when he's on the slide. It's pretty dumb.
Pretty grim, really. There's something else I was thinking of. I'll have to get back to it. But Usyk, I watched the Usyk fight, and I thought, like, he's got good. I wasn't overawed by his performance. I have to be honest. Like, he's got good movement. It's obvious. He's very skillful. He's very slick. Good speed. Power looked average. I'll be fair to him though. First fight at heavyweight, he's gonna, you got to give him 3 or 4 fights to sort of, adjust to that. To the competition and things like that, but he'll need to bring a lot more than that if he's realistically wants to get in with Fury or Wild or any of those other guys.
Oh, totally, man, totally. I don't think he was ever going to be, like a one-punch hitter at heavyweight anyway, but
No.
I think he's definitely got the skill to cause anybody a lot of problems on the night. But I'm not saying he's going to go out there and beat Deontay Wilder straight out of the bat. It's something that I'd have to watch, and I don't think it's even 50-50. I would probably still pick Wilder at 70-30. But
Yeah, because
there's still the issues that Usyk could cause, I think, as well.
yeah,
So,
like I can see him. I think I made the comment to you on your one of your article or videos of he'll go 12 rounds a lot as a heavyweight.
oh, definitely.
You know, and yeah, and against Wilder, he's a southpaw, and southpaw's one of the best punches you can use against him is a straight right hand.
Yeah.
You know, and Wilder's got one. So yeah, it'll be an interesting fight. He's definitely, as I say, I'd give him a few more fights at heavyweight though. I wouldn't. So a lot of people are just saying, oh, he got exposed. And I was like, well, it's his first fight at heavyweight. He's stepping up to something new. And I'd give him 3 or 4 fights before I sort of started to make an assessment of where I thought he was going to go. You got to be fair to him.
Yeah, for sure. We also have John in the chat as well. Welcome in, man. How are you? Still on mute, mate.
See Jamal Charlo's fighting some guy. I'll just get boxing rec up. I wish he would step up. He's 29 now. I wish he had something would happen for him and just get him a good top 10 fight to see where he is.
Well,
Fighting. Hang on, Jamal. What have we got here? Jamal Charlo. I looked at it yesterday. I just can't remember. It's some guy based in Australia, I think. Hang on.
oh, not Zarafa.
He's 29 years of age, and he's scheduled to fight Dennis Hogan
Oh, Dennis Hogan. Okay.
for the World Boxing Council World Middleweight title, World Middle title.
Yeah, Dennis Hogan's a well-experienced kind of guy, but at world level he hasn't had huge success. So
No, 34 years of age. They're fighting, it looks like, the 7th of the 12th, 2019.
Yeah.
I wish Charlo would get some better opportunities,
it's a little bit tough for him because he's PBC at 160. You know who owns the 160 division? DAZN.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
And-
they've
oh,
got
okay.
Golovkin, they've got Canelo, they've got all the top guys. Andrade, they've got heaps of top guys. So unless a PBC fighter wants to cross the street, and how likely is that? He's going to be limited on his options. So
It's a shame because he's 29. He's sort of at that point in his career where you'd expect him to, want to get moving.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's just disappointing.
John in the chat, when you're ready, just jump in and let yourself be known when you're ready if you'd like to chat.
See, they're talking about another Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. Man, that's pitiful. I mean, even the first fight was too late.
I think so too.
It's just, and then after the first fight, they said, Pacquiao had a shoulder injury or something that he took into the fight, and now they want to have another one. It's like, that's why I think it's a perfect example, mate, of why you don't marinate fights.
Yep.
You just make the fights happen.
Yeah.
You get them done, man.
Yeah, when it comes down to it, who wants to watch a 50-year-old fight a 40-year-old as well?
That's right. I don't want to see. Yeah, I don't want to see. It was almost like when Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis finally met, and when Tyson and Lewis met. It was sort of like, well,
It's too late.
Holyfield was too late. Holyfield was 36, 37. He'd passed his best. Tyson was well past his best. He was a shell of who he used to be. And what are you watching? It's just a real letdown. I just wish these guys would get in the ring and fight each other, and when they're in their prime, so you can actually find out who's the better fighter. It's like, was it Crawford and Spence? Do you think they'll ever meet?
I don't know, man. I seriously don't know. It's one of those fights where I've almost given up hope. Kind of like the Joshua versus Wilder prior to Joshua's loss. I'm sick of this to and froing. It's your fault. It's your fault. All the time while this is happening, the promoters are rubbing their hands together, going, "Yeah, we're building this fight. It's getting bigger. It's bigger and bigger." And then something like Ruiz Joshua 1 happens. That's all that building out the window. It's gone.
I know, man.
Yeah.
God, they could have just made that fight. That's what I'm saying about marinating fights, eh?
Yeah.
It's terrible. It just doesn't pay off, man. Like, even if AJ lost to Ruiz, 2 losses, they could still make a fight with Wilder, and it will still be big because they're stylistically two different guys. They're both tall, they're both bangers. You know, it'll still be exciting and people will pay to watch it, but it just won't quite have the edge of that of if AJ had gone and undefeated.
Yeah.
You know, so it's
Yeah, well, in that situation too, we might not even get to see Undisputed in the next couple of years now too, with this IBF and WBO being so. Well, the WBO hasn't been fought for by a mandatory since Huey Fury in what 2000 was that 2016, 2017, 2017. And the IBF hasn't been fought for since Carlos Takam, and people don't really consider that as a legitimate mandatory because Pulev was injured anyway. So even if Andy Ruiz does beat Anthony Joshua, you can guarantee that Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum are going to be pressuring the shit out of the WBO to not let a unification fight happen because the WBO mandatory has been pending for such a long time. And Eddie Hearn has Joseph Parker, who's at what, number
4, I think.
number 4, and Bob Arum has Tyson Fury at number 3. So, at number 2. Anthony Joshua's number 3, isn't he? If he loses to Andy Ruiz, he'll be dropping down. So, Tyson Fury's possibly tied up, so he may not be able to have a mandatory shot. And Joseph Parker's free, so Eddie will be pushing the WBO. So, I can see one of those belts getting stripped, whatever happens anyway. Even if Joshua wins, they're likely to put him in against Pulev for that IBF mandatory, and have Usyk and possibly one of Eddie's other matchroom fighters, probably Joseph Parker, try and fight for the WBO strap. So he's stopping any monopolizing of the heavyweight division, and that sucks. That's one thing promoters,
man.
You know, Undisputed is the biggest thing in heavyweight boxing, but the
Yeah.
promoters don't really want it to happen because it creates a monopoly on.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, man. It sucks, eh? The UFC, man, the fights just happen, eh?
Yeah, well,
You know?
what's his name? Dana White talking about possibly getting into boxing, and if he does, he's gonna not recognize any of the sanctioning bodies and work it like the UFC. It's probably not a bad idea, but
Just get guys in the ring fighting.
yeah, it's
You know?
it's pretty hard to get rid of, particularly the oldest two, the WBC and the WBC and the WBA belts have been recognised for a very long time. So
Yeah.
interesting.
Who do you think? What's the other fight I was looking at? There was is it Sergey Kovalev and Canelo? Who do you think's going to win that?
Well, initially I was thinking, shit, I think it's probably a step too far for Canelo, going right up to 175. But then, you know, started thinking about how Canelo has good body shots and Kovalev crumbles when he gets hit to the body a lot. So it's possible Canelo could stop him to the body, but it's possible Kovalev could stop him to the head as well. So
That's November, eh? Is it November, 2nd of November? Are they going to have that one?
that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I can just quickly look it up. Where is it?
He's a lot taller than Canelo, eh? He's about 4 inches.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I was thinking it's a step too far for Canelo, but
Yeah.
he's a pretty skillful boxer and he knows how to protect himself pretty well. But if Kovalev keeps it long, you'd think Kovalev would have a much better chance. If he's going to keep it long, he's going to have to keep his elbows down to keep that body safe, because he does not like body shots.
Body shots, yeah. God, what did you think of Triple G looked average, eh?
He's on the slide, eh?
He's 37. I didn't score the fight. When I was watching, I had guests around, so I was just sort of watching and talking. But when I remember watching the fight, and he was getting hit so easy in the head, man, easier than I've ever seen him get hit. He was getting hurt to the body, something bad. And there was one time he got hurt to the body, and then the referee jumped in really quickly in between them. I wonder what the ref was doing, but he was getting driven back. He looked gassed. Like, he had his moments in the fight, Triple G, where he was doing good work, but he was just taking a lot more than I've ever seen him take. And I remember watching the fight, and I thought, God, this guy doesn't want a third fight with Canelo. If that's what he's got, and he gets him with Canelo like that, he'll just lose again. He's 37 years old, and you just have to think that some people were saying he'd been sick all week and all the usual stuff to try and make it an excuse for his performance. But he looked terrible, eh?
Yeah.
He looked 37, man.
Yeah, he's starting to look like he's getting tired in the later rounds. His punch volume's going down. He's getting hit more often. Reactions are slower. So, I'd give him 2 more years. And
he's going to end up
getting
knocked
sparked
out
a few times, and that'll be
he's going to. Yeah, and it's sad that they never know when to go. Like, he's 37. He should just quit. It's like Roy Jones. No one could really touch Roy Jones till he got to about 34, 35 years of age. And then he started losing. And it's, you just get to that age, and it's just, no matter how hard you train, it's just not there anymore.
Yeah.
It's mid-30s. Yeah.
But, still looking forward to watching that Canelo Kovalev fight, and I don't know what Triple G's going to do. And he can talk all he wants, but until he gets another legit 160 fight, there's not really much to talk about besides him being on the slide.
Yeah, man. I was shocked at sort of when I saw the fight. It was just like, damn, So I didn't actually score the fight. Some people were angry; they felt the other guy won. I didn't actually score it round by round, and they both had their moments in the fight. There were momentum shifts in there. Triple G was doing some good work at times, but he looked fragile. Yeah. He really did look like a vulnerable fighter who I remember I was looking at it thinking, geez, there's a few guys out there who would beat you on that performance, man,
Yeah, definitely. Are you there now, are you, John?
Can you hear me now?
We can. How are you, man?
Oh, that's good. That's good.
You doing well?
I think you've shuffled past what I wanted to talk about, to be honest.
It's alright, what did you want to talk about? We can get back to it, no problem.
Alexander Usyk's performance on his last fight, I thought it was pretty good. But in saying that, he didn't really come against a great opponent. But his skill skill as a boxer is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, well, I've just actually rewatched the fight for the first time this morning. I had a bit of a discussion with somebody yesterday, and they were trying to tell me that Usyk wasn't showing any kind of angles in the fight, and he wasn't bobbing in and out. And I was like, dude, were you watching the same fight as I've seen? Because when he exits, he almost always exits with an angle, with a counterpunch following the angle when he exits. He's always on his toes, feinting and bobbing in and out, judging distance extremely well. And the other guy I was speaking to said, no, he was just getting pieced up by Witherspoon all night. I'm like, are you for real?
I don't know about that, eh?
What do you reckon of those comments?
I don't know about that, eh? He must have been looking at a different fight, to be honest. I thought Alexander Usyk did very well. Well, to be honest with you, Witherspoon wasn't on form anyway. But I thought it was a pretty competitive fight anyway.
Yeah, I thought it was reasonable as well. And like you say, it was definitely a subpar opponent.
Not really a test that I'd want to see, to be honest.
No,
but
on 5 days' notice and only having 4 fights.
Yeah, you kind of expect that.
3 fights in 4 years.
Course, yeah, you expect that. But but he, like Alexander Usyk, he's a crafty competitor. Like, he knows when to step back, and it's like watching it's like one of the Klitschko brothers fight. You know what I mean? They don't overextend themselves when they don't need to.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why they were the best in their time, because they literally did not overextend themselves. They did what was needed of them, and there's really no more to say about that. They really just did the bare minimum just to get these wins. To be honest, you know.
Yep.
I honestly think like Alexander Usyk is just doing that. He's not playing games or anything. He's in there to fight, and that's like the short end of the stick, you know.
For sure. I did see some comments from Chaz Witherspoon post fight, and he was talking about he didn't feel any extreme heavyweight power or anything from Usyk, and the reason he got stopped was because of conditioning. So I thought to myself, okay, if you got into that ring and you shadow boxed, would you be stopped in 7 rounds? If it was purely fatigue and it was nothing to do with Alexander Usyk's power, then in theory he should only be able to shadow box for 7 rounds before he stops himself. But the thing I find, or my opinion about Alexander Usyk's punches, he throws a lot of punches, he doesn't waste punches, and they're like a machine gun, you know, they pepper, and they do add up to something at the end of the day. The accumulation of those punches, I believe, is what gassed Witherspoon out to a degree. So, any thoughts on that?
I think it was just a planned strategy, just to like, Alexander's not an idiot. He knows, like, he's cruiserweight champion. You know, he knows how to wear his opponents down. You know what I mean? He's not going to overextend himself like other people. He's not waiting. He's not putting himself out there to be hit. You know,
he's not going to put everything into every punch like one fighter in particular who does have a very good punch, but you put everything in every punch and you miss, you're a big target real quick. So he's smart, isn't he?
Yeah, well, Andy Ruiz fairly done a job on Joshua, didn't he? Holy fuck.
He did. You got anything else to add on that Alexander Usyk conversation there, Marla?
No, pretty much covered that. Yeah, I'm pretty much covered. I'm just going to sit back and watch him for give him some more fights, and we'll just see how he goes. Yep.
Fair enough. Would we like to jump on the Joshua versus Ruiz rematch and have a bit of a yarn about that, since we've got a newbie in here, and John? How do you think that one's going to go, John?
How do I... That's a hard one. I definitely think there was something wrong with Joshua. Definitely. I think when he got hit in round 3, his equilibrium was completely gone.
Yeah.
He definitely was off balance, and like that shot in the air, like, literally just seemed to disorientate him so much, and he couldn't recover from it. It just definitely seemed like he was destined to lose that fight.
Yep, I can agree with that. I mean, I even speculated when it happened that maybe they did it kind of on purpose to get a lot more interest back into Anthony Joshua instead of the same old. And as many have said, what defines a champion is how they come back from a loss. So, you know...
I don't really think that, this is my opinion now.
Yep.
I don't really think that Anthony Joshua is a great fighter. I think his jab is his best weapon. He's just so fucking heavy and strong. Like, his jab probably hits like a goddamn truck, you know?
Sledgehammer.
But as a fighter, like, I don't really think that he's... Like his best test probably beforehand was White, and like White almost fucking knocked him out, you know. He did make White do the chicken leg across the ring after that, I suppose. I think Vladimir Klitschko as well. Like, I think Vladimir let him off the hook. I really do think that.
Yeah.
I really do think that. Anybody that thinks that Vlad didn't let him off the hook now, they're retarded, because he was out on his feet for 2 rounds. Vlad could have went in there and punched him, pummeled him, pummeled him. And he didn't. And why he didn't, I'll never understand. I think
Vitaly
Vitaly told
him
him yes, Vitaly told him in the 6th round to take it easy. He should have just told him to go in there and fucking pummel him out of it. Because he would have pummeled him out of it, and that would be the end of it. And Joshua would be sitting there like with a cake up his ass, because he would have been fucked. You know,
Yeah.
it's a sad situation, but anyway, that's the way it is. I literally thought at the time when I seen it, it was like the passing of the torch.
Yeah.
You know, like you'd see in WWE and all this bullshit, like you'd see them passing the torch to somebody else. I literally just thought that was like a passing of the torch, because Vladimir could have easily went in and rinsed them out. Like, he was out on his feet for 2 rounds. He was walking around the room like he was fucking Ledge out of the Addams Family, you know, for 2 rounds.
Yeah.
No joke. For 2 rounds, he was out on his feet